Henry, how many phone calls do I have to make in order to make a 7-figure or 6-figure income? Well, in this video, we're going to talk exactly what you need to be doing. So let's dive right into it. I get so many people who reach out to me and say, Henry, how many calls do I need to be making on a daily, weekly, monthly, whatever basis in order to make a good 6-figure or 7-figure income? And my answer to you is with this story. So I go into this incredible high-level coaching program years ago when I first started making $300,000-$400,000 for the first time in my life. I was about 24 years old. I was a hot shot. I thought I was killing it. I was working 100-hour plus work weeks. And again, I thought I was like king of the world. Couldn't be beaten. I couldn't even explain to you how many calls I was making per day. I was making, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 hours worth of cold calls a day, and I would only leave if I had an appointment. That was it. I was like beyond committed. And I remember sitting outside and I was in a little huddle, a bunch of other top producers in this coaching program. Even though I was making like $300,000-$400,000, I was still like one of the lowest people on the totem pole here. And the head guy comes over and he was making $10-20 million, absolutely crushing it. I really looked up to this guy, a huge mentor of mine. So he came over to us and he said, how many phone calls do you guys make? Because I guarantee none of you are making more than 50 calls a day. Let's just say 50 conversations a day. And I raised my hand. I was like, well, listen, honestly, to be blunt, I make probably 80 to 100 every single day. I am beyond committed. He's like, well, how many hours do you work a week? I was like, well over 100. And he said, well, how much money did you make last year? I was like, just under 400,000. And he's like, okay, well, let me say it to you this way. I make on average about 30 contacts a day. He's like, I made $20 million last year. He's like, I work maybe 30 or 40 hours a week, maybe. All right, most of the time it's like 20. I'm like, wow. And the one thing he said to me next changed everything for me. He said, it's more about the who you call than the how many. It's more about who you call than the how many. So let me dive into what this meant to me. What I heard him say was that he works about 20 to 30 hours a week. It makes about $20 million a year. And that happens specifically because the 30 people he calls every single day, those people must be high-level people. Those people must be driving a ton of business and or dollars to his top line. Those people must be so thought out, so specific that above anybody else that he could be calling, because he's not cold calling. He's like, I don't make cold calls. What he does is that he strategically makes phone calls to the people who drive his top line, the highest level people he can on a daily basis, the most important people he can possibly be making phone calls to is all he calls every single day. Now listen, let's talk about this for your business. A lot of you might be brand new in the business, a few years in the business, you might be making a few $100,000. Let me shape it to you like this. If you could only make even 20 phone calls a day, only 20, you could only speak to 20 people a day, you had to be that picky, that specific with the people who you're speaking to on a daily basis, who would you be calling? You only got 20 people you can call on a daily basis. Who would you be calling? It changes the game. Nowadays, when I'm making calls, what I specifically do is that I make it where if I could only call 10 people a day, who would I be speaking to? Because I really want to hone down to the fact that I might only be able to make 5 or 10 calls today. Because I'm learning that I honestly don't want to work 100-hour work weeks or even close to it anymore. The closer I can work to 0 every week, that's the dream life I'm living. We're having to, by the way. That's the key part. I enjoy working, but having to work, okay? I don't want to have to work. So I specifically make it where if I had to speak to 10 people today, who would those people be? That would drastically shift my business. So instead of focusing on the cold calling, which again, I love to do and I do a lot of it, however, when it comes to strategically making phone calls that will drastically shift my business, who are those people? For me, these are high-level professional partners, people who refer me a lot of business. Not only are business partners of mine in some aspect, these are high-level executive, high-level professionals, high-level entrepreneurs. These are very well-connected individuals, past clients of mine. These are people who could be powerful individuals in my life in the future, people who I want to do a lot of business with. These are strategically thought out. So I want you to shift your mindset. Maybe one day a week, I want you to play the game. If you could only speak to 10 people, create your 10. And then take that list and make sure that above anything else today, that is the most important thing you do. Because if you can narrow down the most specific, this is what high-level executives, CEOs are paid to do. Like if you ever listen to Jeff Bezos speak, he says, I really get paid to make high-level executive decisions in a very, very small amount of them every day. They are paid to make a very small amount of very, very high executive decisions every day. And that's why they're paid millions, if not tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars a year, because they only do the highest and most important things. So in your business, which you are the CEO of, we're not just talking about decisions to make, because that's a whole different video. We're talking about specific people to speak to on a daily basis. So take it super seriously. Because imagine cold calling wasn't a thing. And I'm a huge advocate of it. However, if you are not spending at least a portion of every day specifically set on the most powerful person list that you can, like a specific 5, 10, 15, 20, and by the way, it might not be 30 people right off the bat, but that's what you want to get to. How can I eventually have a list so solid that I can make 30 calls a day to this list, and I know that that is going to powerfully shift my business? Because I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, I make far less phone calls now than I have in the past, than I have when I was making 200, 300, 400 grand, even 6 or 7 or 800,000. And I make a substantially more amount of money making a lot less phone calls because I specifically follow these simple principles. Focus on the high-level individual instead of the masses. Focus on the specific people who can make massive shifts in your business, and focus on that relationship and how you can take that relationship to a whole different level versus how you can make a bunch of other different, start building a relationship with a bunch of people who might not ever turn into anything. Because listen, there's a time for cold calling. But if you really want to take your business to a level you've never experienced before, think with the mentality of less is more. It's not about the number. Because so many people ask me again, Henry, how many calls a day do you make? And they want me to say 50 or 100 or 200 or 500. They want me to say these astronomical numbers so they can at least give yourself a benchmark. But instead, shift the mentality. Because it's not about how many calls a day that you make, but it's who you specifically call every single day that will change your business. And if you're looking for a coach, make sure you check the link down below in the comment section. I want to be able to support you make this year the best year of your life. And you need to take full advantage of it right away. Other than that, guys, I love you so very much. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.